know anything?
Like, I don't care.
Do you really know anything? What do you know? Name them. Name those things you know.
I know that I am the center of the universe, and everyone else in my orbit is a robot.
So in that
And
realm,
I'm here to be tested by God, and he's going to measure how I perform next to all these robots like you, my mom, my dad, my
okay.
family,
First of all,
my friends.
never put me anywhere near in the same sense as your mom and your family, because I want to get the, don't ever put me in.
Well, I
that.
mean, you're all robots in my eyes, so it doesn't matter. You know, my neighbor, you're all just, and it's like if I pass the test, if I
Okay.
pass this earthly test, I will become God. That's what I know.
Are you on PCP? Is the question I want to ask. Like, are you on PCP? Because you got on like just talking about aliens and the robots and God. That's a PCP conversation.
No,
I understand
no.
what PCP does to the, because I've seen it. I've seen it
never
in the
done
streets.
PCP.
Okay,
Never done PCP. This is
you've
no,
never
this
done
is not
PCP. This is a
never done
PCP
PCP.
type
No,
conversation.
I know it
This
is,
is a-
but okay, all right, we got
Next thing you're gonna ask me is next thing you do is rob me with a fork. This is a like,
while naked, while
yeah, while
completely,
completely naked, but somehow greased. Somehow greased, but it's not sweat. It's like you administered something.
Oh,
So
it's
it's
my
like,
sweat.
no,
I'd
no.
be sweating like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
You know
but
me.
no, it's grease. There's some type of grease in the sweat, and it's like
The PCP,
yeah, the
the
PCP
PCP
grease.
slick. You know, yeah.
You know, if PCP
Okay.
was like also an alternative for like Crisco, that would be hilarious. It's like you can use it can be used for good things. Like, like
Mhm. It's only when you misutilize it that
it's
things
only
start to
when
go
you
haywire, man. Hey, but the free market, man, laissez-faire. Who gives a fuck? Anyways,
okay. Well,
we,
what a transition.
what a way to begin. You know, you didn't like my original transition, but that's fine. We're here today to talk to you for real about Crazy Horse, one of the more prominent leaders of the Ocheti Shakowin, aka Lakota. I like this figure a lot. We'll cover that later, but I learned something. Like I listened to our Sitting Bull episode earlier, and I've learned some things since then as far as like terminology and stuff. I learned that like Sioux is considered a slur, and so you shouldn't use that to refer to
Okay.
that group. You should like
Yeah.
Lakota's not exactly correct. Ochete Shakowin, it means the people of the seven council fires, the tribal fires, council
Okay.
fires. That's like the best you can get, I think. And then before you dive into all the other stuff, but yeah, don't use Sioux. I'm gonna use it just to refer to like historical events that you can Google and shit,
Okay.
just for history's sake.
So we've been calling like just Native Americans just like a slur. This whole like that's because I don't
That group, yeah, the Lakota, yeah. Then
what is it's yeah, okay. Wow.
it's just got a different connotation now, and so that's out of favor now. You should use other ones.
I mean, but it's kind of. I mean, we don't have a good history of that. We called them Indians for a long time.
Yeah,
They
that's
live
another. You
nowhere near
should
India.
not. Oh, you should not do that either. It's like because it's like not only inaccurate. I've been saying natives. Because just for concision's sake, because Native Americans, I've heard like, how can we're not native to America because we're older than the idea of America. We're older than America. So like U.S. indigenous. I've heard that indigenous. I've been just going with natives because it's, I guess, two less syllables.
The like the audacity to call somebody Indian like it's just like
is crazy.
That's like if I got on this podcast and I was like, "Yo, what's up, Derek?" And you just like, my name's not Derek. I was like, "You're fucking
name,
Derek,"
man.
and now
I'm not named Derek.
and then I burned down your house.
Mm-hmm.
And make you live in my backyard.
Killed off my entire food source.
And
yes.
then,
Okay. Cool.
And just call you Derek.
Mm-hmm. And then got mad at me when I tried to punch you in your fucking face.
And then years later realized I was talking about a different nigga.
Man,
I'm talking about a different guy, dog. It's crazy.
And then in the Sitting Bull episode, I said that the Sundance was a little sadomasochistic, and that was not exactly fair of me. That was a little ethnocentric.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm sorry.
Look at you.
But anyway, live and learn, right? That's all we can do. We can try to be better, right?
That's one thing I know about you. You never learn. Ever.
I'm learning all the time, man.
Yeah,
I
you
don't know
don't
what you're
learn. You don't learn at all.
So, getting into Crazy Horse, he was born, or getting into him. Our narrative today, our
Ramp it up. Give
hero.
him
All
his
right,
thing.
here we go. Fall of 1841. A boy is born to an unknown Oglala woman, and his father is named Crazy Horse in the shadow of Bear Butte, which is this geological formation northeast of the Black Hills in South Dakota. And he's got light skin and curly hair, so they call him Curly initially.
Okay.
Throughout
It's
his
not a
childhood,
it's not a good sign for a warrior. You know what I
Name
mean?
is, name's
His name's
Curly.
Curly. Yeah.
I think of this Three Stooges guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, the Stooge is not a warrior, but this
Yeah.
man was by no means a Stooge.
But are the Stooges patriots? Did they sign up and fight in World War II?
I don't think so.
I don't think they did, but I think they did a lot of USO stuff. But that's a continue.
Okay. All right. So he's in his childhood, he's playing games, and these games are meant to like socialize the indigenous into like tribal ways, as like most games are, I guess, when you're like playing house or whatever, but also teach strength and endurance. And he like learns to hunt and shoot with bow and arrows. And you get to a certain age where you're going out and camping on your own and like living off the land. And the rite of passage whenever you go on your first raid, I guess you would always go on that raid with the elder warriors under the quote unquote objections of your parents, to where the mothers are objecting and the fathers are objecting, but more so as a custom, because they remember their first raid whenever their fathers objected, but they went out anyway. So it's kind of like, who are you to tell me not? So they're like, oh, you shouldn't go, son. But it's more like, I know you're gonna go anyway.
That's like the first time you go to a party in like high school. That's like
mm-hmm.
You're not, your parents really, they actually want you to go out.
Yes.
But they don't want to tell you to go out. Because that's weird.
Then they're bad parents. You get those parents that are too cool, or they like start asking you for weed, and you're like, I guess. You don't want those parents. Like,
you don't want the fucking,
this is wrong,
No. You want the
but they have to say no. They have to be like, yeah, like I really want to say yes, but I have to pretend to say no. And then when you go on your first raid, you're always put on like shit duty, You have to like watch the horses of the warrior and like fetch water for them. Right? We talked a lot about what's going on in the plains generally on last episode with Red Cloud. So I'm just gonna contextualize Curly within that. Really, late August of 1854, you have the Grattan massacre outside Fort Laramie, and all of these Lakota bands split up. Curly follows this Brule band to western Nebraska, and here he decides to seek a vision. And the vision that he has is a man rides out of a horse on a lake, and the horse is changing colors. It's red, it's yellow, it's green, it's orange, it's blue, purple, all of it. The man on the horse, he wears plain leggings and a simple shirt, very unostentatious. He's got an unpainted face and only one feather in his hair and a small brown stone tied behind his ear. The man tells Curly never to wear a war bonnet or a headdress, to scatter dust over himself and his horse before battle, never to paint the horse, and to never take anything for himself. Like, don't loot, don't take scalps. It's not about your honor or your prestige. It's about what's best for the tribe. Okay. And so all these shadowy enemies are firing at the man on the horse, but the bullets and the arrows just fade before hitting him. It isn't until his own people come forward and bind his arms behind him. An eagle screams overhead, and then the man disappears.
Yeah, dude, I've seen The Matrix.
You've seen it?
I've seen The Matrix.
You took that red pill, man.
That's like half of The
Matrix. In a few different words.
Yeah,
but
that's
half the gist of the Matrix.
You
realize I gotta overthrow the system, man.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I gotta do it.
It's always it's always your friends. That's what people gotta realize. It's usually not your enemies. It's always your friends. There's a vein in all this stuff, all the history we've done. It's rarely that you get killed by your enemies in battle, like the way you think a hero should die. They always get snuffed out by their fucking friends in the middle of the night. So that's why I'm watching Henry.
Politics and shit. You don't got to worry about me, man.
No, I'm worried about you.
I'm worried about you. I'm a good dude.
I'm just let you know. I'm gonna get you for you get me.
Okay, right. Well, maybe. Well, then you'll prove your own theory correct.
I don't give a fuck. I'm just not gonna get got. All right.
Okay. So late August of 1855, the Oglala joined Little Thunder's. Little Thunder is a Brule headman. He's got a camp at Blue Water Creek, aka Ash Creek, in Nebraska. Next September in 55, you've got the Battle of Ash Creek. I'm sorry, next month. So still 1855. You got the Battle of Ash Creek, aka the Ash Hollow Massacre. Little Thunder goes out, and this is kind of in response to the Grattan massacre from what I remember. Little Thunder, he goes out to negotiate with the U.S. commander, but he's really like buying time for the women and children to pack up the camp and get out of there. And then the indigenous who are breaking down the camp, they run into another column of cavalry posted somewhere else. You've got 86 indigenous dead, mostly women and children. And so Curly, he comes back from a hunting trip to see the site of the massacre, and he's absolutely incensed because this is a new type of warfare for him. This is closer to total war, so it's a little different. He's kind of shocked by this. So summer of 1858, Curly, he joins this guy Hump, who's his friend, like probably his best friend, and then Little Hawk, who's his little brother, and a couple others in an effort to push the Arapaho and Shoshone to the west. And this is like, when Red Cloud is coming into prominence, it's part of his initiative to expand the Lakota domain into the west. And Curly counts coup in a raid against the Arapaho. And, there's this giant celebration feast that's thrown whenever they all get back. And this is when his father bestows Curly with his own name. And this is when he becomes Crazy Horse.
Yeah, it's like it's like in certain neighborhoods, like in Los Angeles, like you'll be like, if your dad was like Red, then you'll be like Little Red, and then your son will be Baby Red. That's what I know from like Nipsey Hussle mixtapes.
You pass the name.
No, yeah, there's a name. You can pass down names.
It's not, it's kind of like a junior. You know what I mean? His father becomes Worm. Though.
Yeah.
He gave up Crazy Horse.
But you have to give up your name. You can't just be Big Crazy Horse.
Because it can't be. I mean,
like OG Crazy Horse.
Old man afraid of his horses and young man afraid of his horses. I guess.
Yeah, that's fine.
Old Crazy Horse and young Crazy Horse. But Curly becomes Crazy Horse and OG Crazy Horse becomes Worm.
See, OG Crazy Horse. It could have just went OG Crazy Horse.
I think
Little
so.
Crazy Horse.
Yep.
Baby Crazy Horse.
Baby Crazy Horse.
Under Baby Crazy. Infant Crazy Horse.
You can just call Baby Crazy Horse Baby Cray, and that's
when the reservations are happening, and then like there's like a Crip, like a Crip break-off gang that is now in the reservation, and now he's Baby Cray. Yeah, dude, that's I love the modern world. And how
I don't. Good
how
God.
how one of the most successful franchises since the 80s have been the Crips. Like it's everywhere. Around the world.
Their brand is everywhere. They've gone international. It's crazy.
It's a brand that translates.
1860 to 1865, there's relative calm on the Western frontier. It's not completely calm, but compared to what it was in the 50s, it's kind of calmed down because, again, the U.S. is tearing each other apart in the Civil War. And then Crazy Horse, during this period, he's raiding against other indigenous tribes. He's admired for his bravery, but following his vision, he doesn't boast. He doesn't really claim scalps. I don't think he ever does the Sundance, which I'm not going to go into detail about the Sundance because I posted about it on our IG. If you want to see it, it's there. One thing that I thought was pretty cool, there's this taunt that the Crows had, or the Apsaroka, for Crazy Horse. They say, "We know Crazy Horse better than you, Sioux or Lakota. Whenever we have a fight, he is closer to us than he is to you." Because he's always at the front,
Okay.
1862.
It's a bad
Crazy
taunt.
Is it?
That's a shitty taunt. Like the taunt should be more like, "Your mother's a whore. Your dad's a whore." You should always say it with a Boston accent.
It's
your sister's a whore.
I'm gonna let you die on this hill, man.
Your grandmother's a whore.
It's all about calling the family whore.
Yeah, no, your great grandmother's a whore.
You don't want to. I don't know. This was kind of a taunt, more to show like adversarial respect. Like we
Nah,
admire Crazy
that's not
Horse
a
because
taunt.
he's always in our face.
That's not
He's
a
always
taunt.
right up front. It's more of a compliment, yeah. But I guess they were like taunting the rest of the crow or the
Okay,
rest of the tribe.
this is more of a Chicago friendship where I
Mm-hmm.
insult you, but I really like you.
That's because
So,
I
but no,
like
but
you.
that
Yeah.
still works. Where you go, your
Mm-hmm.
father's a whore.
Your father's a whore.
And but I would fight and die
I
with you.
seen your father out here on the corner more than I seen my own mother.
I'm
'Cause
gonna
I come from a sad, broken family.
I didn't want to tempt you into a shitty Boston accent. Like, and now we're both here.
This isn't
so
my
let's just live in
Boston
it.
accent. This is my Chicago accent. Huh?
I'm from Southie. You know
I
what
eat
mean?
pickles on my hot dog.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
not a Chicago. I don't know where. What is
It's
that
a
old
Chicago
timey?
dog, man. They do
That's
the.
I know,
don't
but
know.
I know the hot dog, but I don't know what accent you're doing. I know what accent I'm doing. I'm just
1862. Crazy Horse. He falls in love with this woman named Black Buffalo Woman,
yeah.
who is Red Cloud's niece. And he's courting her, but like a lot of other people or a lot of other Lakota warriors are also courting Black Buffalo Woman. And something that I read that was notable is that some warriors would just swear off of women entirely and just lead abstinent life. Like there was a Cheyenne chief named Roman Nose who Stephen Ambrose. This is a guy. This is the source for it. Stephen Ambrose, Crazy Horse and Custer. Stephen Ambrose. It's a familiar name based not only off of that one stretch of I-10 in Mississippi, but Band of Brothers. This is who wrote the piece that I'm working off of.
Don't ever reference a stretch of
I-10 in Mississippi.
What are you doing?
It's out there, man. I'm sure. I hope somebody's driving on it right now. I'm like, holy shit, that's where I'm. Anyway, Ambrose is saying that Roman knows he had this no woman medicine because it made him a fiercer foe because he didn't take a wife and he was abstinent and like sharpened his senses. You know what I mean?
I guess you can look at it that way, but like most people are just gonna say, man, the dude's gay and he won't talk about it. And he won't just figure it out. Like, you know what I mean?
Then he wouldn't be a warrior. He would be a winkte. He would be living out on the end at the edge of the tribe.
But people didn't like the people
take on a different role.
But the men didn't like the winkte. They didn't think that they were cool. The women
they respected them, but they didn't like. I see where you're coming from. But I just think like you get on the nofap train. You don't have sex for.
I'm not a fucking
you don't even
proud
jerk
boy.
off for like two.
I'm not no, that's a proud boy shit where you're like, I gotta retain. I gotta not jerk off so I can maintain my
semen. So it makes me a sharper warrior.
It doesn't. Jerk off, dude.
What are you talking about?
Just jerk it. Just fucking do it. It's gonna be
Spank
fine.
that monkey, baby.
You're probably like jerk it and be like, I should probably support Medicare for all.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen.
Summer of 1862, Red Cloud initiates his call to arms. He's gonna raid against other indigenous tribes, expand the domain a little, and he's leading a large war party against the Crows specifically. And Crazy Horse enlists with Little Hawk and Hump and No Water. He claims that he has a toothache before they head out, and he's like, "Oh, you guys go out. I'll catch up later." And then while this war party is away, while all the other suitors are away, this is when No Water marries Black Buffalo Woman.
That's
while they're all out.
That's shiesty. But you gotta respect it.
Yeah,
you gotta respect it.
I mean, respect the hustle, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, because now
they got it in the end. He won, but come on, bro.
Now they're all booed up on Instagram. Now they're all in stories together, going to get sushi.
Yep.
Now they're all having fun with each other, loving on each other, feeling on each other, watching Netflix.
And what are you doing?
What are you doing? You're recording a podcast with Henry Price. That's what you're doing. All right, let's move on.
You're scrolling through NoFap threads and slowly becoming a Proud Boy.
Yeah, you gotta just not jerking off and being sad about your ex. How dare you?
You lonely bastard.
You lonely man.
So 1865 to 1868, we talked about it again last episode. This is Red Cloud's War, leading to the closing of the Bozeman Trail. Red Cloud's the main strategist, and then Crazy Horse is more his field commander. He's leading the decoy parties and raids and his dare rides. Crazy Horse becomes a shirt wearer, so he's got a position of prominence within the tribe. One thing I didn't mention, but I meant to, is that part of the reason that the U.S. was interested in the West is because not all of the gold, of course, but they need that gold to pay for not only the cost of the Civil War, but also the cost of Reconstruction. So in that time period, the fall of 1867, Black Buffalo Woman has her third child, and Crazy Horse is seen hanging around her tent a lot. And there's gossip in the camp as to whether or not they're gonna elope, because she's free to do so. Like Lakota women, I think, had a relative degree of autonomy, so where if they didn't love their husband, they could dip, you know. And so
third child,
and they got married 5 years ago.
You gotta love that woman.
Mm-hmm. You got to stand by that woman. She's had 3 children with you.
You know what I mean? You're gonna be at breakfast and you're gonna see six eyes, 2 eyes for each kid. Well,
six mini eyes,
6 mini eyes,
8 eyes total, 6 miniature eyes that are looking back at you like I am you. Okay,
I'm not you,
but I am.
What?
You know, your children, how they like are you, but they're also not you. You know, there's this whole paradoxical thing about children.
I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing.
Your legacy. All right, in too deep. All right. Winter of 1867 and 1868, Crazy Horse, he's on the Powder River. And another thing that kind of makes him noteworthy, or just like, you know, he's providing for his people over the winter. Like, you know, they're camping over the winter while Red Cloud's War is going on. And he's going out on buffalo hunts and just, you know, elk hunts or whatever. So there's plenty of stores.
Was it Joe Rogan?
That can feed the camp. What do you mean?
Going out on elk hunts?
I don't.
Yeah, my man Joe loves elk hunts.
Does he?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that doesn't.
He loves elk meat.
Right. Does he make his own jerky, or is he just like?
No, it's just the most nutritional meat you can ever have.
If you need it to bulk up, you know.
Yeah, the most beautiful meat you can ever have, most nutritional, packed with vitamins and proteins.
I like to listen to Rob Johnson and people who actually know something. Not.
Okay, all right. Do what you want to do. Be smart. Fuck you, Duck.
So there's like plenty of stores built up that the Lakota could live off of, but he's bringing the meat to like the old, the elderly, and those with like young children, like fresh meat. And this is what like enhances his reputation within the tribe, because it shows his generosity, which is one of the virtues among the Oceteshakowin or Lakota. And so finally, Red Cloud's War ends in the Second Treaty of Fort Laramie. It's called, if you want to look at it, it's called the Sioux Treaty of 1868. And this treaty is ratified by the U.S. Senate. And I said last time that Red Cloud signed the treaty on his terms. That was not exactly correct. What I meant to emphasize was that they signed it because of him. Like, Red Cloud scored a tactical and strategic victory over the U.S., which is huge, you know? So 1869 to 1871, Crazy Horse, he moved up to the Yellowstone River in Montana, which is, it's like a tributary of the Missouri, which is the largest river, to hang out with the northern Lakota tribes like the Sanzark, the Miniconjous, and Hunkpapas under Sitting Bull. The fall of 1871, Crazy Horse decides to up the stakes with Black Buffalo Woman. He says to the rest of the camp that he's leading a war party against the Crow, and that's really a ruse under which Black Buffalo Woman and Crazy Horse can run away together. And so Black Buffalo Woman leaves the camp, and No Water obviously notices that she's gone. And so he borrows a revolver from his friend, overtakes Crazy Horse and Black Buffalo Woman's camp on the Yellowstone, barges into their teepee, and shoots Crazy Horse right below the left nostril, like right in the face, you know?
Yeah.
But Crazy Horse survives.
You know, crazy? Getting shot in the face, not as deadly as you think.
Yeah, it's weird. It's so counterintuitive, because I read this and I was like, oh, okay, there's still a lot of this book left to go. My
uncle shot in the head, face, something like that. Lived for like 10 more years.
He's fine.
10, I mean, no,
10 more years. Okay.
No, the depression of getting shot in the face and being blinded by the gun definitely worked its way into, and then it's kind of given up, you know, life then spiraled in its own way. Maybe complications got him. I'm not that sure. But then, yeah, it's not a pleasant experience that leads to a pleasant life after. Like, oh no, I just shook it off. I just shook it off. No,
life actually got better after I
got
shot in the
that
face.
dude that I knew, because that's the only reason somebody could shoot you in the face is if they fucking know you.
Yeah, it's very very personal. Yeah, you got to get up close and personal.
No, but not trust people. I trust people still.
After I got shot in the fucking
face by my friend.
Don't make anybody surly,
Yeah.
And so he survives. Crazy Horse survives, but he loses his position as a shirt wearer because he put his own needs or wants above those of the tribe, and so it's kind of a loss of esteem, but also he did so for love, man. He did so for love.
Yeah, sure.
Who can fault him, right?
No, I can.
You can.
You ran off with that man's wife. You know what I mean?
She wasn't happy with him. Black Buffalo Woman wasn't happy.
She wasn't happy with him, but do you understand like that? Do you understand that it doesn't look good to everybody else that might not know that?
I get the subtext. I hear the subtext. I understand.
Yeah, no, do you understand how that could look crazy to everybody else around?
I'm all about the yeah, I get it. It can sound crazy. A lot of things sound crazy. But in hindsight, were they wrong?
To everybody else it looks wrong.
No, it looks wrong.
I don't know. I don't know. I know what happened, but right? I know what's going on with Buffalo women, but not everybody knows what's going on with Buffalo women.
Fair enough.
I know integral details with Buffalo women.
That is true. It's all about who gets control of the narrative first. And No Water, bitch ass little No Water, got control of the narrative first. But a lot of people don't know that No Water was doing some crazy shit behind Black Buffalo Woman's back.
No, right? I get No Water has a podcast and a little bit fucking weirdness doing crazy shit. And I might have seen No Water at a bar with shit.
Somebody else.
Going on.
While he was with
we were
somebody,
all hanging out, but then No Water kind of dipped off. But I understand what No Water was doing.
Yeah,
but
No Water was not a hero. By any means.
Okay. All right. I everybody else.
I get how it looks. I don't care how it looks though, because you know what? Crazy Horse and Black Buffalo Woman are happy together, and that's what matters. Fuck No Water.
Founded on a bed of deceit.
Okay. All right. Well, to each his own.
I don't know if you guys, if listeners notice, we're not talking about Black Buffalo. No.
Oh, aren't we? I don't know who we're talking about.
Joking.
So early 1872, this is where it gets interesting. No Water and Black Buffalo Woman are living at the Red Cloud Agency in the Nebraska Panhandle, and Black Buffalo Woman gives birth to a light-haired or curly-haired, light-haired, light-complexion girl. And some people think No Water wasn't the father.
Well, yeah.
This was Crazy Horse's child.
This is a great time for Mari. Mari
to get in here. Yeah, Mari.
Yeah. You are not the
father of this child.
And how do we know the tests are in? And our test is just a feather blowing in the wind.
That's right. And the Great Spirit blessed it, and it indicates that you are not the father. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the summer of 1872, this is when Crazy Horse, he marries this other woman, Blackshaw, and they have a daughter who is named They Are Afraid of Her. So August of 1872, getting back to the Plains Wars, Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull battle together for the first time at Arrow Creek, which I think is it would have to be like eastern Montana. And Sitting Bull's camping at the mouth of the Yellowstone. They hear that troops are headed southwest toward them from North Dakota, and Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse and their forces ride out to meet them. And the troops are being sent out to secure the territory so the Northern Pacific can build a railroad connecting Minnesota to, I think, Seattle or like the Northwest. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, it's
all about the rails.
Here's the thing. People, again, we got off like we just did the Cold War, so we did a lot of capitalism, communism shit. But the West's story is very integrally tied to supply chains, capitalism, railroads, ranching. It's just people. It's tied to capital and exploitation, and you can't escape it. You can't escape it.
It's all like, how can we make money? It's like the dehumanization of an economy.
Yeah.
Or the imposition of an economy.
Well, an economy isn't human in the first place, but let's not. Okay, that's good. Let's just assist the
that
market.
Is
all right, let's all right. Let's not
the
lose
economy is God.
Okay,
right?
yeah, man. All right.
And so they ride out at Arrow Creek, and they're shooting back and forth for a while. And this is when Crazy Horse, he goes on one of his dare rides, and he rides out between the two rows to try to lure the whites into a more open confrontation, a more interesting battle. And he also does so probably to demonstrate his bravery to the Northerners, because he's trying to impress them. And this is Ambrose is saying, this is why Sitting Bull, who was not to be outdone, goes out and smokes his pipe with 4 others in the middle of the battle. That famous story where he goes out and sits down, and he's like, anybody else want to smoke, come with me. And 4 others go out, and they're smoking in the line of fire, and bullets are hitting the ground and kicking up dirt, and just very badass. And but it's interesting that Sitting Bull did it in response to Crazy Horse's bravery.
This all sounds absolutely insane to me.
Yeah. I mean, September of 1873, the Philadelphia banking house of J. Cook fails, and this is the beginning of what they called at the time the Great Depression.
Okay.
And part of the reason this bank failed was due to over speculation in the railroad industry. Grant is president, and it's not what are the Republicans going to do? Regulate a business? Regulate a bank? Come on now. Don't be a child.
Whew, okay, let's not.
So part of Grant's economic plan, as in response to the Depression, to get the economy back in swing, is to explore previously untapped gold reserves, such as those rumored to be in the Black Hills, which, Southwest Dakota, this very sacred place. And the Black Hills are basically ceded to Red Cloud in the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty, but we need the money. So our hands kind of been forced here,
This is kind of a speculative kind of, then now you're getting into Josh speculation territory on the podcast.
Cool. Right on. I'm with it.
In that time, we're backed on the gold standard.
Yeah.
So if we're backed on the gold standard, the only way you can put stimulus into the economy, put more money into this economy, with your because it was a depression, the money has been sucked out of the economy, it's sitting on the outsides. Only way I can put money into this economy now is to increase the supply of gold. So then the money can be backed by the gold. For
the value of the currency will rebound.
Yeah, the value, not only the value. I think you now have more gold. You now can have more money.
You can print more money.
Yeah, you can print more money.
I see. Yeah,
the gold. So you can now stimulus or get your way out of this by some type of public spending and get. I don't know if that's what they were thinking, but that's what I would think. And
it makes sense. You're in a depression. You want gold, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna help. So spring of 1874, this Union veteran, General Philip Sheridan, commences what is called the Great Sioux War by building a fort right inside the Black Hills. And in July of that year, this blowhard, is sent out to secure the Black Hills with the 7th Cavalry, this one man named George Armstrong Custer. And while in the Black Hills, they discover gold, and they cable it back. He sends a guy to Fort Laramie who uses a telegraph to cable back to the rest of the Union that, hey, we found gold in the Black Hills, and we're going to get out of this depression. And the indigenous call the road that Custer took between Fort Lincoln in North Dakota to the Black Hills, they call that the Thieves Road, and they call Custer the thief. Okay. Or long hair, either one. And so Crazy Horse, in this time period, he loses his daughter due to cholera, and he enters a period of intense mourning. He becomes super quiet. He doesn't really seek a position of power. He just really wants to fight for his people. So the winter of 1875 to 1876, you've got white settlers and panhandles who are searching for gold around the Black Hills. They're found dead with an arrow in the ground, but their scalps intact.
Okay.
Grant.
Calling card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I like it. That's what you gotta leave.
Who else is not taking scalps out here?
I mean, I think that doesn't like the 7th Air, and this is like the cavalry definitely they incorporate this later, don't they? In Vietnam,
do they?
Well, that's just part of Vietnam where they leave the cards. People leave the unit cards on people on all the fucking.
Like
Let you know who the fuck did this.
I am here. All right.
Yeah.
It's a big at, you know.
Yeah,
Come
man.
at me, bro.
None of your grandpas were in the goddamn Mekong Delta.
I don't think they were. No. President Grant is planning a 3-pronged attack. You've got General Alfred Terry with Custer advances west down the Yellowstone from Fort Lincoln in North Dakota. You've got General George Crook advancing from Fort Fetterman in Wyoming, named after the guy who got massacred, to the Little Bighorn Valley in like southern Montana. And then Major General John Gibbon is going to follow the Yellowstone from Fort Ellis in western Montana. And you're going to converge on the Lakota camp in this, like, you know, in south central Montana.
Okay.
So early June 1876, the Lakota camp under Sitting Bull is like moving back and forth between the Rosebud and the Little Bighorn. I think both of those are tributaries of the Yellowstone, which again leads. So this is still like South Montana, and Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull are in open alliance. Rough estimate Ambrose gives is they got between like 2,000 to 4,000, I think, warriors, and many of them are armed with guns, so not just bow and arrows. I'm not sure like the make and model of the gun or anything. Winchesters, presumably. I can't say that they all had Winchesters, but Ambrose is saying many of them had at least some kind of gun.
Okay.
So they hold the Sundance on the Rosebud, and this is where Sitting Bull has his famous vision. He like gouges his arms, I think 100 times or so, and he basically predicts the indigenous victory at Little Bighorn, right? Before that, you've got June 17th, 1876. There's the Battle of the Rosebud, where Crook is advancing from the south through Wyoming to the Little Bighorn Valley. The indigenous scouts see them and then are like wondering what to do. And Crazy Horse rides out to meet Crook's forces and like is able to repel them. If you want to know more about that battle, there's an account that we're going to, I think it's like unknown battles. I'll link it on the Instagram. Just look for it because it's coming up. So June 22nd, Crook is repelled. Custer is marching hard up the Rosebud because he's meant to secure the Rosebud and cut off any retreat that the Lakota could make. And then Terry and Gibbon, they're joined forces, and they plan to march down the Yellowstone to Little Bighorn Valley. And then Custer is like right there ready to make sure that the Lakota have nowhere to go, right?
Yeah.
But they send Custer out alone. And this all culminates in, I think it's June 25th or I've heard June 26th as well, 1876. This is when you have the Battle of Little Bighorn. Custer splits his command into like, I think 2 main prongs, or he sends one guy back, and then Major Reno goes south around the camp and tries to come up, but he gives away his position, or his charge is repelled. And then the Lakota go north to meet Custer's forces. And then getting back to like Crazy Horse's role in Little Bighorn, you've got the warrior camp that's in a frenzy, and they want to meet Reno with their entire force. But Ambrose is claiming that Crazy Horse is the one who keeps them in check. And he's like riding out between the lines between Reno and the Lakota camp. And then once they repel Reno's command, Crazy Horse rides back through the Lakota camp on his way to meet Custer's northern prong. And he says, "Hoka hey, it is a good day to fight. It is a good day to die. Strong hearts, brave hearts to the front, weak hearts and cowards to the rear."
And now nobody's going to be at the rear.
Nobody's going to be at the fucking rear. He just called you guys all the way out.
Nobody's going to be at the rear.
And so there's this other Unkpapa warrior who I think came up with Sitting Bull named Gall. Gall's forces cut off Custer's ability to retreat, and Custer has his last stand at this place that is now known as Custer's Hill. And Crazy Horse and his like 1,000 men and like Gall's men just fucking smash into Custer's forces and wipe them out. And getting into Custer, we covered in the Sitting Bull episode. Never has there been a more famous like idiot.
Yeah, no, he's just a
Like,
jackass. And like this is the thing about America, and like I think it's all countries, but particularly America because we're from America. We have this like good knack at making like idiots famous
Oh, super
and making
famous.
them seem like they're honorable
Too
people.
famous.
But
Yeah, like
the
yeah.
fucking idiot. He's
Like
just
they're
he's a
modeled,
jackass.
they're to be emulated. You know, a couple
Yeah.
things that Custer does not do. He does not wait for reinforcements, which he knew were coming under
Yeah.
Terry and Gibbon. He does not send any scouts out. He had been marching his men for 3 or 4 days straight, hard, like no sleep, no food. He should have. Ambrose is saying that he should have allowed his men to like rest and recuperate before attacking, but he didn't do that because he wanted to make the assault as soon as possible. And he underestimated the amount of Lakota warriors that were in the camp because he didn't send any fucking scouts out. And he basically thought that he was just going to charge in there like he had done so many other times in the Civil War and just win because
Jackass. No, he's a jackass.
because
No,
I
he's just
don't
a
know.
jack.
Like
He's a
just
jackass. That's
I like
it's
yeah. I like to
it's
think of him as the Chad of Little Bighorn. You know, never
no.
was there a larger Chad than
Yeah.
Custer. This is
It's
some
ju-
Chad shit.
it's yeah. It's like man, it's kind of it's you know what I can say. I'm glad as an American that we've kind of gotten over charging and kind of going into places without a real plan
Mm-hmm.
of what's going to
Oh,
happen.
yeah.
I'm glad that I in my lifetime I have never seen a situation like that
Yeah.
where
What
we've
do you
done
what do you
that.
mean? We're not doing reconnaissance?
What do you
We got
mean?
to do reconnaissance.
What do you mean?
What are
We
you
have no
talking about? No
idea.
reconnaissance. Or, we have no idea their forces or
Yeah,
how
what
well
about
they're armed. Or,
how this is going to work out towards the end of this?
uh,
Like,
what the fuck? Who put you in charge? Like, what are you doing?
what do you mean? What do you mean?
But this is the golden boy of the U.S. This is the boy general of the U.S. And so far from, you think about it, this was a larger victory than the Fetterman massacre, and Red Cloud was able to settle.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, the U.S. doesn't come to the table after Little Bighorn. They're more like, it's on. Oh, it's on now. You know,
Because
you killed Custer, and he was our guy. And it's like, well, he shouldn't have been, but
no, it's
I guess
two
it
reasons.
rallies public opinion to the U.S. cause.
Yeah, no, two reasons. They probably still need that Black Hill monetary thing,
They need it.
monetary
Yeah, of course.
boon or something. But then also like, what's the greatest thing to have when people can't get jobs and they're like looking at the newspaper and they're like, oh man, the economy sucks. Guess what? I can replace that with a war. Like,
War.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just wiped it off the front page with a little fucking pow, 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 pow. That's what you do. Like it's classic.
What recession?
Shit.
What depression?
What depression?
I don't remember.
There's a war on, goddamn it.
War. Are you crazy? Yeah.
What are you talking about? We all got to sacrifice because there's a war.
Because there's a war going on. Yeah. Just pull those strings. And it's not only a military front that they that the U.S. double downs on. On August 15th of 1876, U.S. Congress passes something known as the Sioux Appropriation Bill. They don't even try to hide what they're doing.
Yeah.
They basically say in the bill, they're stalling agency provisions. So Red Cloud's agency and Spotted Tail's agency are not receiving any food until they agree to sell the Black Hills. And September 19th of 1876, there's this peace commission appointed again by President Grant, gets the native chiefs at Red Cloud's agency to sign over the Black Hills. But it's not like they had much of a choice because they were starving. And if they sign it over, I think the figure was for $6 million. Yeah. Here's the most fucked up part. In the 1970s, the Homestake Mining Company, which is a company that had the monopoly on gold from the Black Hills, they revealed that it mined $1.5 billion out of the area. And it was, at least by the time the book was written, 1975, the largest operating gold mine in the Western Hemisphere. And in 1980, there's a Supreme Court case called the U.S. versus the Sioux Nation. In an 8-1 decision, the U.S. acknowledges that it stole the Black Hills in a direct violation of the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty that Red Cloud signed. And, he brought him to the table again. And they offer compensation for the stealing of the Black Hills that the Lakota Nation, I believe, has still not accepted because they want to hold on to their claim of the Black Hills.
Wait, so they still haven't accepted it?
Mm-hmm.
Are they not accepting it because it's too little, like the compensation, or they just actually want the Black Hills
I'm
back?
not sure what the figure is. I think it's at least over $1 billion at this time. I think it's like 1.1. I'm not sure the exact figure. I remember reading over $1 billion, but I think it has more to do with, well, if we take this money, we no longer have the claim. But that, what do I know?
I mean, that seems like a deeper core conversation, political.
Yeah.
Lakota.
That's just me speculating.
Yeah,
I don't know the modern indigenous position.
Won't you come on this podcast spouting white lies?
I'm not trying to. I'm doing my best, man. So winter of 1876 and 1877, it is particularly nasty. There would be nights that are negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And Crazy Horse, he's still holding out, but his people are starving and sick. And General Crook and General Nelson Miles are in pursuit, along with some agency indigenous are like some agency warriors who they promised to give extra provisions to if they would help hunt down Crazy Horse. And so in April, late April of 1877, Crazy Horse turns himself in at Red Cloud's agency. And then through June, he's kind of resisting pressures to go to Washington because he's promised his own agency west of the Black Hills, kind of along the Powder River, but only if he visited the president. And he's like, no, give me my agency first. And all of the U.S. officials are saying, no, visit the president first. And so they keep going back and forth.
But one thing, kind of going a little bit back, again, we see that linguine clam sauce. That is the U.S. government, business, white supremacy. And then now the military also in there. Just a fucking. It's just a combo. You're gonna see a lot of. You see a lot of it. It's good. It's good.
U.S. military is a scallions on top of the linguine and clam sauce.
They might be the butter really or the noodles. That just depending on the time.
It's July through August of 1877, Red Cloud begins to notice all the attention that Crazy Horse is getting on his reservation, of all things. And so he begins to disseminate. He begins to play politics. He's telling the U.S. Indian agents and other natives that Crazy Horse, he's about to run away, and maybe he's going to go join Sitting Bull up in Canada and resume fighting. And he's telling Crazy Horse personally, he's like sending people to talk to Crazy Horse with the message that, like, if he goes to visit the U.S., they're just going to imprison him. If he goes to DC and it's all a trick. And then General Crook, he's pressuring Crazy Horse to join his campaign against the Nez Perce under Chief Joseph. And Crazy Horse repeatedly refuses. And so Crook begins to worry that Crazy Horse is planning to kill him. So he confers with Red Cloud and Spotted Tail, who is, I think he's another Lakota who runs an agency near Red Cloud's. And it might be Crazy Horse's uncle as well. I think I read that. Red Cloud and Spotted Tail, they warn of civil war if Crazy Horse is arrested. And Ambrose is saying that they say in this meeting that it's better if they kill him.
It's the clam sauce has worked. The linguine clam sauce has done its thing. Now they've dejected you, and now you're in this fucked up situation.
Now you're an outsider.
The clam sauce
with an outsider agenda.
Clam sauce and linguine, it just goes together. It just works. It's just
they've done the thing. You're the hot sauce.
They've done the thing.
You don't need to add anything. Yeah.
Now they've got you in this weird period where all of a sudden your best friends are looking at you. Your people who are supposed to be with you.
Yep. The guy who brought you up of all people, Red Cloud, the guy you served under the guy you fought under in the war, he's now out to get you.
It's the person you love every single time.
I don't really know enough about the intertribal politics to pass adequate judgment, but
no,
that's definitely shifty.
It does sound like peak level bitch shit. like
September 4th of 1877, Crook goes off to join the Nez Perce campaign. He's got a force of agency warriors and 8 columns of U.S. troops, over 1,000. Ambrose says twice the amount of people who were at Little Bighorn go to Crazy Horse's camp 6 miles from Camp Robinson in the Nebraska Panhandle to arrest Crazy Horse. And Crazy Horse is up at Spotted Tail's agency next to Red Cloud's, and he's kind of expressing his concerns about everything that's going on at the agency. September 7th of 1877. Crazy Horse is taken to the guardhouse to be shipped to Omaha and imprisoned. And he sees that he's being led to a 3 by 6 foot cell. And there's this overpowering smell because none of the prisoners are allowed to leave to use a bathroom, so they're defecating inside of their own cells. And he sees he's being led there. And he grabs a knife and he just starts slashing at everything, anything in sight, right? His men turn on him. Little big man gets behind him and grabs his wrist and binds his arms as he's bayoneted by the soldiers. And as he's being bayoneted, he says, "Let me go, my friends. You have got me hurt enough." And an eagle cries overhead.
Are you crying right now?
Yeah, man.
Fuck, dude.
This is my man.
No,
my man.
dude.
And he dies just as his vision told him he would 23 years ago.
Wow.
Arms bound by his own people behind his back, an eagle crying overhead. What I'll say about Crazy Horse and why he's probably my favorite Lakota leader, if not my favorite indigenous leader, just comparing internally to the Lakota, I got mad respect for Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull's kind of like Tecumseh and Tenskwatawa in one. Red Cloud, great strategist, great politician, but also he kind of, I don't want to call him a sellout because that's not my place. But the thing about Crazy Horse is all the battles that we've talked about, the Fetterman Massacre, Arrow Creek, Battle of the Rosebud, Little Bighorn, numerous others. Crazy Horse was always at the front. And that's where you lead. You lead at the front. And that's where Crazy Horse always was. And that's why, he commands respect. Like, rest in power.
Man, that was beautiful. I didn't know. I'm sorry, man. I feel, I don't know why I'm apologizing to you, but.
It's okay. No,
I'm sorry you're crying, dude. Oh, there's been everything on this podcast. Comedy.
Laughs.
There's laughter and tears.
No, I mean, it's like I read
jokes about dicks. We have it all.
I read the book and it's a very well written book, but
yeah,
I don't think you can entirely attribute Crazy Horse's draw or his magnanimity or his power solely to the way Ambrose wrote it. He was a man of men, the way I see it. He's a badass. He's probably one of my favorite historical figures.
Yes. It's good, man. True, true rebel, true people, true person who stood up for his people, always at the front.
Next week.
Next week. What do we have?
Next week we got another very, very profound in a different way. Another indigenous leader of the Nez Perce. There's another word for it. Nez Perce is not correct. I'll have it next week. Chief Joseph, and he's a little more of a spiritual leader. Very eloquent, Chief Joseph. He's pretty cool.
Okay, guys, I want to thank you for listening. We would appreciate it if you followed us on any of our social media. Follow us at Hard Fight History on Facebook, Hard Fight History on Instagram, HFH Podcast on Twitter. You guys can follow me at Joshua B. Stokes on Instagram and Twitter, and Joshua Stokes on Facebook. Give us a like, follow, share, subscribe.
A damn review. Give us a review for Henry, sure. Yeah, and share the social media. You can find me at Henry E. Price on Instagram, just Henry Price on Facebook.
Guys, thank you again for listening. Please like, share, review, subscribe, all those things. Also, you can find us on YouTube, Hard Fight History. And we Twitch stream. We're Twitchers.
We're Twitchers
follow
now.
Follow us on
We
Twitch.
are Twitchy. All right.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you for watching. We're not Twitchy though. You've been awesome. We'll see you next time. Come back next time. See you guys next time.
Peace out.
Okay, I'll keep saying that. All right, bye guys. Peace.